Natalie from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, May 3rd. So we have the moon in Gemini all day. This is definitely applying a lot of pressure to our mental plane. Our inner realms are alive and well. We are very curious. We are kind of jumping from one thing to the next, finding it hard to concentrate. We are attempting to try and get our heart and our head on the same page, but there's a lot of information to sort through. We are barely kind of aware of all that is bouncing around within us. And we are definitely trying to open our minds up, open our heart spaces up to some of the different changes and transformations that are taking place, not only in our inner realms, but in our physical realm as well. So today we have 10 different aspects taking place here today, and 7 of them involve the moon in Gemini. Right out of the gate, we have the moon in Gemini bumping into Jupiter, who is in Pisces. This is actually a positive aspect. This is a really, really good aspect for us to work with, actually, because Jupiter wants us to grow. He wants us to expand. He wants to magnify the different life lessons, the different changes that need to take place in our inner realm, especially in our mental plane first, our heart space second, in order to prepare us for the new chapters that we are about to jump into. Jupiter, if you listen to the May energy forecast that I put out, Jupiter is wrapping up his time in this Piscean energy, which is going to be great for all of us. And he will be moving into Aries energy, which is going to just be a total shift, a total paradigm shift that we are all going to benefit from. But right now, as he's nearing the final degrees of this Piscean energy, we are getting a lot of intuitive insight, a lot of information from our higher self, our soul self. We are really having to lean into the spiritual and philosophical understanding of all that has transpired, because we're wrapping up those particular life lessons and preparing for brand new ones. The good energy coming from this particular aspect is that the moon in Gemini is highly curious. We get downloaded with information, with insight, with intuition, and then we can run with it in the lower level intellect and in our heart space. We can sort through it. We can actually make sense of things. We can come up with a logical and practical understanding of some of the things that don't make sense to us. It is an amplified energy for us to kind of feel the very big emotions, the very big thoughts that need to have our attention right now in preparation for these new chapters to be unfolding. The moon in Gemini bumps into Venus. This is Venus's first aspect in Aries energy. Venus moved into Aries yesterday. If you haven't listened to the astro forecast about that, I would definitely recommend you take a listen. The moon bumping into Venus in this way is a beautiful energy because the moon is in an air energy. Venus is in a fire energy, and air and fire energy works very well together. We do have to be careful that we don't light ourselves on fire and burn the whole place down with our ideas and our spark and our creativity and our passion. We do have to balance those energies and make sure that, the fire within stays stable, stays, in a comfortable pace. And we can do that by regulating our thoughts and our emotions. And that is a true challenge for a lot of people out there. So we have the moon in Gemini bumping into Venus now in Aries. And let me tell you, we are definitely feeling lighter and brighter. We are more sure about what it is that we want, need, and desire for ourselves, where love is concerned, where money matters are concerned, where our dreams and our goals are concerned. We are excited to jump into new experiences, invoking playful energy, joy, pleasure. We want to be happy. We want to feel good. And this aspect is definitely promoting a little bit of clarity on how it is that we are going to do that. The moon bumps into the sun in not the most pleasant way. I will be honest. We have to keep in mind that the sun is in Taurus energy. We're still very much in Taurus season. The sun in Taurus wants us to focus on what it is that we need to build, what it is we need to create, what it is we need to give birth to. As far as our physical circumstances are concerned, new routines, new ways of taking care of ourselves, new ways of enforcing boundaries in order to protect ourselves emotionally. We want to make some changes in our relationship dynamics in order for us to stand up for ourselves and to actually build a stronger foundation in these relationships. And we definitely want to take a look at where it is that we haven't been doing our best to create a stronger financial safety and security for ourselves. Many of us have skills and talents that we've been sleeping on for years that we're afraid to bust out and actually bring to earth. And the moon bumping into the sun in this way is likely going to be an activation point in our external realms that we don't have control over. That's going to illuminate for us where it is that, you know what, we've been stuck in a rut. We know we have to make these changes. And that moon in Gemini is just kind of processing how we're going to go about it, how we're going to come up with a logical, practical way of even initiating some of these changes. And, you know, the moon is always very representative of our emotions, while the sun, of course, is representative of our will, our determination. And the moon in Gemini is just very curious, very, very stimulated in our mental plane, kind of stuck in our mental plane on how it is that we're going to make some of these changes. Even more than that, we're kind of at odds with how we feel about making some of these changes, because of course the sun in Taurus is a fixed sign. We know we have to change, but we really don't want to. We technically only change when our back is against a wall. And the moon, of course, in Gemini just wants to process new information, wants to sort things through, wants to like open our minds to new ways of doing things. But the way that these two are interacting right now, let me just say, air energy of Gemini, earth energy of Taurus, those two elements are the furthest away. So we are kind of at odds, and we are going to have this external trigger and activation point pop off to show us how we need to make more time and effort and energy to sit down and structure a plan together on how it is that we are going to bust free from some of these ruts that we've created in our physical realm. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Pluto in not the nicest way. Now, this is where things get a little bit Debbie Downer-ish, a little bit negative Nancy-ish. The moon in Gemini, of course, in the mental plane, trying to process new thoughts, new ideas, new emotions coming in. Pluto, of course, is retrograde, meaning that this is an inner journey, an inner realm into our shadow self. Why? Because we need to look at the pain and the trauma and the suffering that we hold still alive and well within us, that's actually creating the blockages, preventing us from moving forward. Now, the moon in Gemini is going to become very, very negatively obsessed with certain things that we're fixated on. That Pluto energy is very dark, very heavy. It wants to do that in that way to motivate and inspire us to make a change. But sometimes what can happen is we get obsessed. We get fixated on certain looping thoughts, certain looping behaviors or emotions. And in this particular aspect, I don't feel like it's going to jive very well, especially kind of riding off the coattails of this aspect between the moon and the sun, kind of highlighting for us where it is that we're stuck in a rut and where it is that we're, you know, we have to make the changes, but we don't want to make the changes. This is just going to amplify for us, make us very tuned in and fixated on the problems in our lives instead of the solutions that we should be coming up with. The moon is going to square Mars, which is going to add to this kind of funk that we're in as we approach the midday point. A square is a tension point. Mars, of course, passive aggressive, stuck in this emotional, intuitive realm of Pisces, recognizes where it is that we're getting frustrated, where it is that we're irritated because we're not making as much physical progress as we would like to see. And emotionally speaking, we're so freaking overwhelmed and frustrated that we just want to numb ourselves out at this point. Now, the moon bumping into Mars in this way will likely make us highly negative in our inner realm, and we can project that negativity in our communication styles outward. The moon in Gemini especially is very communicative, very expressive. But after the aspect of Pluto kind of bringing us down a couple notches and then squaring Mars in this way, Mars rules over passion, but he also rules over anger. And right now we're very angrily passionate about the frustration that we're experiencing because things aren't moving as fast as we would like. we get a little bit of help here because the moon is going to go ahead and sextile Chiron. This is kind of like an aha moment. Sometimes we have to sit in the funk in order for us to actually see the light illuminate the darkness that we're sitting in. And this is a prime example for that. Chiron, the wounded healer, yes, highlights the wounds, but also shows us how to heal them. He is in Aries energy, highlighting for us our egoic identity. And for many of us, we are rebuilding our identities as we speak, as we disconnect and detach from elements from the past that our ego has built, because now we are more oriented to doing things according to our heart and soul. So the moon in Gemini sextiling with Chiron right now does suggest that sitting in the darkness, sitting in the funk, obsessing over certain problems, and being very angry and irritated from the earlier aspects actually provides us with a little bit of a breakthrough. Not only are we seeing the problem areas that need our attention the most, but suddenly, because of this Gemini energy, being very curious and very inquisitive and being, the one to sort through and process through the thoughts and emotions that make us sit in this funk also provides us with the narrative that we need to kind of align with in order to get us out of this funk. So I see this as being a very positive aspect, which after the earlier aspects putting us in the funk is very much needed. And let me just say, this is the peak energy that we need to hold on to, because we are going to kind of dig a little bit further in that funk. And here is why. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Uranus in not the most pleasant way. This is likely going to be an external trigger, an external activation, and it can manifest in a couple of ways. First of all, it could disrupt our plans. It could throw a wrench into what it is that we thought we were going to do. It could actually unfold a situation, especially in our personal relationships, for someone to illuminate to us new information, new details. Maybe they're speaking their truth because Venus now, of course, is in Aries, just spitting fire. Maybe this situation is unfolding in such a way that really kind of puts us at odds with what it is that we actually think and feel. Normally, this Uranian energy kind of provides us with a shift in perspective when we gain clarity. This time, I think we are going to gain perspective through confusion and emotional upset. Now, again, nobody likes to feel this way, but sometimes we have to see things unfold in their organic, true colors, people, places, and things, in order for us to actually see things as they are and not for the way that we wish them to be. Mars goes ahead, amplifies this energy by bumping into Chiron. Again, we're going to add fuel to the fire, especially in the external trigger activation realm that just popped off, for us to have this level of emotional confusion, of us to have this little quote unquote breakdown or disruption. Mars bumping into Chiron in this way is likely going to activate a lot of irritation, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. Keep in mind that Mars is in Piscean energy, so we're passive aggressive. We like to keep it in. We like to keep it in until it boils to a point where it's literally just coursing through our veins and our blood, and then we dramatically let it come out of our bodies in a way that causes a lot more drama and destruction than there needs to be. And the fact that Chiron is in kind of cahoots with Mars at this point here, we're definitely seeing a blow to our ego. We're seeing a blow to our plans, to our dreams, to our higher self. We are very kind of disconnected from our higher self, our soul self, our heart self right now. We are very much stuck in ego, which kind of suggests that the situation that pops off in our external realms out of our control is definitely rubbing us the wrong way and putting us in a situation where, if we're not careful, if we're not able to see the greater, grander plan that is taking place here to expose people for who it is that they are and not the way that we want to see them, if we're able to have that observer perspective, then we're going to make out all right. If we are not able to do that and we react from ego, we're likely going to pop off. We're going to be angry. We're going to project that out into our external realm. We're going to create some drama. We're going to create a quote unquote energetic war. Jupiter, though, sextiles Pluto. I mentioned this briefly in May's energy forecast. This is a good energy, believe it or not, and especially kind of following some of the uglier situations popping off earlier in the day, early evening, we are seeing a shift, a positive shift. a huge transformation, actually. Jupiter, of course, is the great magnifier. He makes everything big, everything extra. And right now, he's emphasizing where it is that we need to grow, where it is that we need to move away from the old experiences and be a little bit more open to new experiences, where it is that we need to expand our heart space, expand our understanding, especially where leaning into our intuition and trusting the greater, grander plan of the universe is concerned, because of course, Jupiter is in Pisces energy. Sextile is a beautiful, beautiful energy. It means that we're making headway. We're being productive. We're actually seeing the evidence of our growth. And Pluto, as you know, the great transformer, he is retrograde, meaning that he is trying to expose us to the pain, to the trauma, to the darkness, to the suffering, not to paralyze us, not to keep us in a Debbie Downer kind of state, but to hopefully act as the catalyst to motivate and inspire us to use those situations, to turn that darkness into power, to turn that pain into power, to literally boss up in our inner realms and see where it is that we can step into a new place of power and authority within ourselves. And we can use these not so nice situations popping off to our benefit. Now, one would say, well, what's the benefit of, watching people that you love be exposed for who it is that they are? Well, would you rather be duped for the rest of your life? Would you rather be deluded? Would you rather be made a fool of? Do you want to continue to assume that people are who it is that you want them to be? Or do you actually want to see them for who it is that they actually are so that you can make the judgment call on whether or not you want to associate with those individuals in moving forward? Me personally, I want the truth, even if it hurts. And I feel like many of us are there right now. A lot of the truth being exposed on the collective stage right now is very hurtful, very painful, but absolutely necessary. And in our individual realms, I feel like, we're in eclipse season. We are at the mercy of the divine script, making the changes in our lives that we were not bold and brave enough to make under our own free will. And therefore, if you've been holding on to people, especially situations, relationships, especially that are under a false pretense of who it is that you thought or wanted them to be, and now are learning their actual true selves and their motives, well, it seems to me like eclipse season is doing exactly what it's meant to do, which is to clean out the trash and align us to the path in which we are 100% meant to take at this point. And that means clearing the space out for new, like-minded individuals, elements, and opportunities to actually have a place to enter into our realm. But holding on to the junk of the past is only blocking our blessings and actually preventing us from moving forward. We're going to wrap the day up with the sun semi-squaring Jupiter after that lovely aspect of Jupiter and Pluto, making this huge aha moment, this huge amplification, this huge amount of insight in our inner realms, in the way that we're thinking and perceiving the people in our lives, the dynamics in our lives. The sun in Taurus, semi-squaring, applying a little bit of pressure to Jupiter, who just wants to show us where the path is, where the soul plan is, where the new purpose, where the new mission is. This is tough because, as you know, the sun in Taurus is very, very much a fixed sign. We are almost to the point where we are comfortable in our uncomfortability. We want changes, we want different dynamics, but we're also afraid, almost semi-shitless, in order to do what is necessary in our physical realms in order to create the change that we know we need to make. That's why, being at the mercy of eclipse season, it is what it is. The universe will sort us out. If you choose to think that it is some form of punishment, that the universe is doing something to you, well, you're going to be having a hard time, because the universe does things for us, even the ugly parts that take a little bit of time for you to understand that they are actually blessings in disguise. And so the sun kind of illuminating right now where the growth is needed, where the transformation is needed, where the expansion is needed, is a scary, scary thing for us, because we just want stability. We want predictability. We want to almost stay in this uncomfortable zone in our physical circumstances, because at least we know what to expect. We don't know what to expect when we put ourselves out there, when we start making the changes, when we start cutting people off, when we start clearing out the junk. We don't know what to expect. And for many of us, we would choose to stick in an uncomfortable circumstance because it is predictable over throwing caution to the wind and really opening ourselves up for anything to happen. That's a very, very scary concept that we're going to have to sit with. We're going to have to sort through, and we're actually going to have to process before we can actually align with the truth, with the mission, with the purpose that is unfolding before us.